Hi, I'm Jay,
Hi, I'm Marie.
and we're Good Soup Productions.
We have something to say. We work with the different people for a little bit more than a year, I think so. How we started working, interviewing people. We hear lots of different stories from the different artists. How they find themselves in this field, in this industry. They do something from a childhood and they have dreams and they have own job, day-to-day job. Day-to-day is right.
Like, we want to make something for ourselves that is not only like a piece of art, another piece of art that we do, but one that's more about ourselves. And yeah, we want to share a little bit of ourselves to the world.
And one of the most important thing we do right now, we do the interviews and videos. We talking and listen people, so we decide to do this a part of our own thing.
Yeah, so this project we have here, we're calling it Good Soup After Dark. I guess we can call it a podcast format at the very least.
Yeah.
And like it's not an original recipe. It's just us talking to our guests, and our guests are going to be people we find interesting, people that we come across in our journey in like Philadelphia and like Delaware. So we're based out of Philly, but through like a couple of friends and like just connections we made, we now work a lot in Delaware as well. We can use this video as an opportunity actually to say to you guys, like, if you're interested in having a conversation with us and think we can sit down for like an hour and just kind of get to know each other and like hear your story, hit us up. Like, we're just trying to like bank some of these so we can, I think we can make this like a really cool thing that we do on the regular for people. Like, we want ourselves on the platform, but we still want it to be a platform to propel people. We want to be more of a positive space. Maybe After Dark is kind of misleading, but
After Dark, it's more about cozy, deep, diving into people's feelings and stories. Content you can hear anywhere except on our channel.
yeah, I think, we want to use our platform for good. Good soup.
Good Soup After Dark. I want to share with you a little bit before you start watching the podcast / show / story time. Who is our guest?
Well, our guest and friend, Red Spade, he's a rapper out of Delaware. And he had a pretty amazing experience that he shared with us. It involves a pretty well-known artist. They were really awesome to sit with us and like kind of take on this project with us. So thank you to Red Spade, manager Lisa Ward, Amori, thank you for coming through. Yeah, and we got about an hour out of it, and we hope you guys like it. Leave your feedback, like, comment, subscribe.
If you're gonna leave in a comment, we'll ask to be generous and leave the comment more constructive. Tell us what you like, how we sound, what question is better, what question is not really interested, because we want to make our show better for you and more informative and interesting to listen, to watch. So just go down below. But first, watch the video and tell us what you think about it.
No, we're here tonight with Red Spade. And how about we just start with just like kind of introducing ourselves, and being that this is my place, we'll start with you.
I'm Red Spade. I'm an artist, a producer, a songwriter, and I'm the CEO of Red Spade Music.
And how do I follow that? I'm Jay Gonzalez. I am one out of two proprietors of Good Soup Productions. We're a small production company based out of Northeast Philly. It's with my partner, Marie. And yeah, we're just kind of, we started this venture last year, and we've been meeting some really cool people doing what we do. You have been an artist just in general. Like, when did you start Like, well, when did you start singing or rapping?
So, no, you could, because I have started dabbling into the singing realm. I'm working on that, working on improving on that skill because it's a very necessary skill. But I started music when I was about 13, 14. I would beat on tables. We would rap at the cafeteria table. So that's kind of where it started. And then from there, I would produce. I started producing before I started really getting into rapping. But also at the same time as that, I would spend a lot of summers at my grandma's house and she would make me write a lot. So she used to be a teacher. So she would make me write a lot. I used to hate writing. And I think that's what set that foundation for me to be a natural songwriter and just a natural creative overall. But it's been since 13, 14, and it's been growing since then.
Just like, when did you make that pivot to just performing to like, I want to really make money doing this?
So I was doing music for years. So after years of releasing music just for the sake of releasing it, it gets to a point of what do I do next? And I started realizing every job that I took, every career path that I pursued, I just never saw myself staying there. Music always worked its way back into my life. And I found myself actually wanting to pursue it deeper. At a certain point while I was in college, I actually wanted to drop out. And I'm really transparent. So I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, I want to drop out. And then I told her why. I want to focus on music. I want to drop out. And instead of her completely just shooting that down, she asked me what my plan was. So I didn't have a plan. So I finished college. But that kind of got the gears going with like, all right, so if I don't have a plan, I can't make this happen. So that's when I started really studying deep into what music business was, and then started really going hard with what branding is and carrying myself a little differently for my future self. Because one of my favorite quotes is, respect your future self today. So I just started living by that and working towards that.
Can I ask you what you went to school for?
I went to school for, I still have an interest in it. I went to school for exercise science at University of Delaware. I was interested in being a physical therapist. And that's mainly because like I have a really big interest in the human body and how it works. And I feel like music and the human body actually coincide very well. That was the reason. Like I was always interested in keeping up with my body and making sure I take care of myself, knowing what goes on inside and outside of it, for myself and for others, because that's all we have. Like the body is an amazing thing. It's an amazing machine, and it just piqued my interest. It still piques my interest.
Now, just having that kind of knowledge with the degree, like, I mean, you can apply some of that to like just performing in general. And like, is there ways that you connect like your knowledge and curiosity about the human body and like exercise and just your performances? Like, do you do like any crazy like warm-ups, or do you like have breathing exercises?
Definitely breathing exercises. I learned about that one. Breathing is very important. So I used to get nervous before I performed. So once I realized how to breathe and kind of get rid of those nerves, it helped a lot. Plus the experience just took it to a whole nother level. And I would say more so it's not as much a human body thing, but it's more psychological when it comes to the performance aspect and the music aspect, because I know that the reaction from your typical listener is a psychological reaction, which can lead to the physical. And sometimes one comes before the other, but for the most part, music affects psychologically more so.
You are the CEO of Red Spade Music, but when was the inception of that?
I was doing a favor for a friend of mine. He requested me to model for him for a photo shoot. So I've noticed that every opportunity that I've been given has been a result of me just stepping out of my way for somebody else and just wanting to help. So I was helping that day. I met my now manager, Lisa, at the time, and we sparked the conversation. I told her who I was, and one thing led to the next. we started building up our relationship. She started understanding who I was as an artist. She started understanding that not only did I just rap, but I was able to songwrite and produce. So one day I'm just going about my day. She calls my phone and she was like, I have an idea for you. And it wasn't far-fetched. I just it's one of those things where you have the resources, but your mind isn't necessarily open to going about a certain direction until somebody's like, you have what you need, let's try it. So she basically said, I have what I need, let's try and do a music production company. So I was like, all right, bet, let's get it. Let's do it. Let's try it. She challenged me to not only improve upon myself, but to surround myself with people that would not only make me better, but will also be a good foundation for that team. So I'm literally sitting down at my job, trying to figure out who is the first person I'm going to reach out to. And then it's just like a light bulb clicks in my head because I was just with the man maybe like 5 months prior. So I hit up Amori, hit up his phone, and I'm like, it was just a simple question that I wanted to ask him. I was like, yo, bro, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm in the studio. And then I was like, all right, cool. Perfect answer. Can we link up so I can like run something by you, see where we can go with A, B, and C? He was like, yeah. We linked up. I explained everything to him, and the rest is history. And then we here where we at today.
So Red Spade Music, other than the work that you do for your songs and the records that you produce, like what comes out of Red Spade Music that you're proud of?
So far, what's come out of Red Spade Music is we've been a part of a very good documentary, the Voiceless documentary. We had a chance to put some of our creative touch on that documentary, which I'm proud of. We are currently in the midst of working with a platinum Sony A&R artist, and we are just taking advantage of every opportunity to just work hard and position ourselves to continue to grow. There's a lot of things coming in the near future that people should definitely be on the lookout for. We've been traveling a lot. We just got back from New York. We have to go back to New York again. So it's a lot of things in the motion, a lot of things that are going on at the same time.
So being that I'm from New York, I'm always curious about like people's perspective on it, but can you talk about some of your experiences in New York, you know, promoting your music and promoting Voiceless?
Right.
Can you speak on some of those experiences?
I actually can. My biggest opportunity so far to promote Voiceless was actually due to the fact that I had won the T-Mobile Beyond the Beat contest. And I had a chance to actually meet Common in person during his tour at Blue Note in New York City. And he actually called me on stage to perform with him. But I rapped one of my verses from Voiceless. He was really feeling it. He really enjoyed it. And it was just an overall good conversation. And he told me I got it. He told me keep going. He told me that what I'm doing is on the right track and that I'm on my way.
Gotcha. And what I'll say for the viewers at home is, like, if you don't know who Common is, get out from under the rock. It's a pretty big deal, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much I grew up listening to him until I took a really deep dive into his catalog.
Yeah, I actually saw one of your posts recently. I mean, we could talk about that too.
Yeah, like I started doing posts where I break down artists who I've studied and who I already know but dove deeper into their catalogs. Common was the most recent one. And he has about, I want to say 14 albums in his catalog, like very extensive catalog. And from beginning to, I think I'm at about album 9, skipping to the newest one. So I might be 10 albums in. But there was a period of time where I just remember hearing a lot of Common, either through my parents or just on my own playlist. So like a lot of the Beat album was really big for me. I'm a huge Kanye West fan as a producer. I love his productions, and Finding Forever as well. Like those 2 albums back to back were just a really good period of time for me.
And like, what did you get from that experience meeting him?
I got from him, I actually asked him for his personal advice for somebody like me. And he reassured me in the sense of telling me to stay who I am, no matter what's going on around me. He gave me the example of the people that he came up with, like Mobb Deep and Nas and people like that. He found himself looking to see how he could replicate them, and then figuring out that all he had to do was be himself. And in that, he carved his own lane. And I really felt that, because I feel like that applies to me 100%.
I think I want to like ask like a really kind of basic question. How was it meeting a celebrity? Like, honestly, like, how was that experience? Like, I know you're in New York a lot, so you're probably like bumping shoulders with a lot of people, but just like to have that one-on-one with them, how was that like?
It was really good. I more so look at the value of the conversation, not the value of, I look at the value of the conversation and interaction I have with the person more than the surface value of everything else.
Of who they are, right?
Yeah, so
Did you have any expectations going into that?
With Common?
Yeah.
I've heard good things. I actually expected that conversation to go smoothly. I've heard good things about Common, so I saw that going smoothly, and it met every expectation that I had.
Yeah, I mean, I get nervous like talking to like, you know, people that I've worked with before. Like I get nervous like doing this, so I can't even imagine just like meeting somebody that has had that influence. Yeah. So like, how were your nerves? Were they as bad as mine right now?
They weren't. No, they weren't, because I fanned out once, and I told myself never again. When I was in, I want to say high school, I had got backstage passes to, I want to say it was, I forget what it's called, Powerhouse. Backstage passes to Powerhouse in Philly. And I was backstage. I had a whole bunch of pictures with a whole bunch of people, like DJ Khaled, like, I want to say, I know DJ Khaled was one, PNB Rock, rest in peace. Got a picture with him. And I got a picture with Big Sean. I like Big Sean. I was a very huge fan of Big Sean at the time because of like the run he was going on. And
you're a big fan of Big Sean?
Big fan of Big Sean. I see what you did there. I see. So instead of, I could have like rapped for him, I could have like put myself out there, because he has a whole song about how he rapped for Kanye. So like I'm literally, it's flip-flop. Like he's the Kanye and I'm the Big Sean in that situation. So instead of like me introducing myself to him as the artist that I am, I take a selfie. And then like I have the picture, but then later on, when I posted it, somebody was like, did you rap for him? And then in my head, I'm like, yeah, I really just fanned out. I dropped the ball. And I told myself never again after that. So now like every person I come across that I feel like is an opportunity, I present myself the right way.
How do you get yourself to do that? Because I can't even imagine. Like, so I guess like what I'm asking specifically is like someone looked at you and said like, did you rap for him? Mm-hmm. Like, I guess someone for me that's not in that particular field, like I wouldn't even know how to apply this in videography. Mm-hmm. But like how do you get over the nerves of just doing that? Breathing exercises?
Nah, it's not breathing exercises, because it happens on the fly. So most recently with the Common situation, he had ended up calling me on stage. He was performing one of his songs. He pointed at me. I pointed back. He pointed at me some more. And then he said, he did one of those. So in that situation, I'm not about to go like this and be like, nah, I'm good. Like I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna go up to the stage. I got up there. He asked me for my name again. I told him my artist name. And then he said what he said, finished his bar, and he just passed the mic off to me. And like in that split, I want to say like 2 seconds, split 2 seconds, I had to figure out what I'm going to do to keep things flowing. And by the grace of God, did it, prepared myself for that multiple times, countless times. And I just took the mic and I ran with it. And I owned the stage like it was mine. So like, that's one of those things where it's just like repetition, confidence, and like just, you kind of have to prepare yourself for the moment before the moment. And it also brought some confidence to me to know that Common had handpicked me out of everybody that had made their submission.
It's really cool, man. So what else do you do in New York?
Just ride around. Just ride around from place to place, be in traffic. And then by the time you get out of traffic, you don't want to do nothing because you're tired of being in traffic.
Yeah, the other day, actually, I mean, I could talk about myself a little bit because I was going to like just talk on the traffic situation. So like recently I started background acting.
Okay. You told me about that.
Yeah, so the most recent show I did was Power, book 3, Raising Canaan. Something with my long hair attracts casting directors, I guess. Like, I guess I like fit the role of like drunk guy in the background. So like with this one, I was smoking like fake herbal cigarettes and like drinking ginger ale in the background as they're doing their thing. And traffic in New York is terrible, man. Like, it was when the UN was in town. So, and then for some reason the GPS brought me through Manhattan. But
we were in New York at the same time.
I think I went a day after you did, because I think you guys got back on Wednesday and I went for my fitting on Thursday that week.
Okay, so they were still there then. Okay.
Yeah, so I went for a fitting one day and then did the actual background acting. I'll admit I wasn't in a lot of shots. I sat around on the set a lot, ate some chips.
What kind of chips?
I don't remember, man. It was such a long day too. Like, I started my day, I don't remember what time I left. I think I left at 7 a.m. I got caught up in traffic. A 2-hour drive became a 3.5-hour drive. Barely got there on time, and then I was on set till about like 8 or 9.
PM?
Yeah. And then drove back to Philly.
And all they gave you was chips?
I have a paycheck coming soon. I'm a paid actor. That is so weird to say. But no, that's not all I do. As I've mentioned before, I am one of the owners of Gitsu Productions, and that's actually how we met. I do, with Marie, we do interviews every month with the Delaware Music Network. That's how we met you. And we just volunteer our time, and we really it's kind of a process. We get to know the people, the featured artists that they have every month. We talk to them on the phone for about a half hour, and then when we meet in person, it's about a 20-minute conversation. And it's just kind of helping these local artists, local or like kind of more starting off artists, like their mission is to give them resources to help them perform, make music, and other things like that. And where we come in is we just kind of help promote who they are, and we help promote their stuff. And that's kind of like, I think that's how we really sunk our teeth into like what we do.
You guys do a great job with it too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like you guys.
Appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, we've done some work with you after that, and we're doing this now. But just Good Soup in general has just evolved a lot. So yeah, that's just kind of where we are with that. And now I'm a background actor on top of that. It's a lot.
It's only a matter of time before you get booked for that role, and then you end the reincarnation of Scarface.
No, I don't need to do that, man.
Say hello.
No,
to my little friend.
No, I
and
don't
then
need to do that.
I can already see it, bro. Speaking it into existence.
Well, I'll say this about like the acting in general. Like, I don't know if I necessarily want to be like an actor featured top billing. What I really like from the experience is just being on a set, like seeing the inner workings of it, like learning the terminology, learning like what they're saying, what they're doing, and trying to see if I can apply that to the scale that I do it at.
Explain what that's like, because I've never experienced that.
Just like being on a set. It's a lot of standing around. It's a lot of people, like one assistant director telling you to do one thing, and then a PA telling you to put the cup in the different hand and do a different thing. It's just like a lot of listening. It's just a lot of standing around, and like it could just be that, but I try to really like, I'm like, my experience is like I get like real nosy. So like if people are talking in the corner, like the directors or anyone that's on the crew talking, I try to like listen in. For example, I did Law and Order, the first job I ever did, Law and Order Organized Crime. Anyway, like I just like get real nosy and I just like pay attention to what they're doing, and I might like look over somebody's shoulder as they're looking at a monitor and like see how they compose the shot, and like, oh, it does look different when they pump smoke in there, the atmospheric smoke, which you get paid extra. You should do it. You should try it. Not the smoke, but the background acting. I think it's like really great exposure to what it actually looks like. Yeah, like being in front of the camera is not something I'm necessarily like in love with yet. I don't know if I'll ever be in love with it necessarily, but I think it's just good having that experience. And even just like being a background actor, like kind of being in front of the camera, but like being back there made me feel a little bit better about doing this with the cameras a lot closer. Like Maria and I have done like kind of like, we've done our own interviews, like interviewing ourselves, or like we'll have someone come over and even try like this kind of setup where like I'm involved, but the whole time I'm just like what I say is not important. Like this guy's more important than me. Let me talk about this guy more. And then you just like see me like just clamming up, and just kind of like having that experience just gave me a little more confidence to try it out. Like ideally I'd like for this to see the light of day. So I'm just kind of willing myself through that. And I guess that's like where a lot of my questions about like, how do you get through the nerves? Because maybe in real time, I'm trying to figure it out.
So the biggest thing for your nerves the biggest piece of advice for your nerves that I can give you is to understand that you're sharpening a sword, and every time you're in that ring of whatever field you're performing in, it's a chance to make yourself better. So nerves are a natural part of it. But the only way to get rid of those nerves is to work through them. And the more you work through those nerves, the less you feel them. The less you feel them, the more you have time to focus on sharpening your sword. And then eventually the nerves become something that more so contributes to you than deters you and sets you back. Because the nerves are always going to be there, but overcoming those nerves is where the key factor is. And it's the same with courage. Like courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to acknowledge your fear and still move through it. So the nerves are never going to go away. It's about getting past the nerves.
Yeah, it's like getting past one set of nerves and then encountering another. And like for me, like trying to figure out Good Soup and like trying to get our name out there, and then all of a sudden it's like background acting. And like Maria and I just kind of really evolved and like just got through, I guess we'll call them sets of nerves, like different types. Remember when we first started, like we did, Marie's an artist. Just want to shout you out, babe. I love you. So Marie's an artist from Ukraine. She's my wonderful, wonderful girlfriend, and she takes care of me. And she is a painter, tattoo artist. She does this videography stuff with me. She's a photographer, graphic designer. She does it all. And this set right here is just a wonderful background of her art. And yeah, it really just started with Mariri Art. That's her art brand. But yeah, we really just started off like just selling her art. And we were in like street markets, and that was nerve-wracking. And like I remember just telling her, we need to try it. But like I'm like, I really don't want to be in the street like in front of people. Like that was really tough, but like that was like a big set of nerves for me, because like it's not only like are you nervous about being around people, but it's like, is this gonna work? Are we gonna make money off of this?
And it's a very necessary step too.
It is.
Because like you don't realize that. Sometimes we don't realize that to get to that end goal of making a living off of what we do or making some type of income off what we do, we have to get past that societal acceptance, fear, and factor. Once we get past that and we move at our own accord, things are a lot smoother. And like, I completely understand. Like, we were just at DSU asking people to listen to the single, the voiceless single, and tell us if it's trash or not. And like, literally, like, we got great results. Everybody that we interviewed liked the song, but there's still that factor of maybe we could have ran into somebody that was having a bad day and they could have been like, yo, this is terrible. Like, don't quit your day job. So like, it's just like, you just gotta ignore that and move through it. And the grass is greener on the other side of that specific.
Yeah, for sure. Back in March last year, take it back another notch. Back in February last year, I broke my tailbone skiing. I've only skied one other time. Outside of that, I took a lesson that day and I was able to get down the slope once by myself. And then the next year I went with the same group of friends and I was going down the bunny slope, like the really easy ones, and I just fell hard on my ass. And I actually cracked my tailbone. And in that time, I had to take like a month off of work. Like, I couldn't do what I do. I'm a cable guy. So I've had an interest in like doing video. Like, it started off in high school. Like, I took a videography class, I took a photography class, but I never pursued it. And during that time that I had to take off of work, the hardest thing for me to do was like this exactly, like sit down. Like, for most of the day, especially in the beginning, like the only way I was comfortable was laying on my stomach or standing up. And like, I had so much time off, and you know, I expressed an interest before in videography. Like, Marie's seen like a few like videos I made in the past just like for fun, and we decided to just try out like making food videos, like cooking videos. I have a little bit of a background in culinary arts, and we're just trying to like play to our strengths. And we like set up a whole like lighting rig out of like PVC pipe, like from Home Depot. It looked ridiculous. And that's kind of like where the interest in it like started taking off for the both of us. And then that summer we launched Mariri Art, and we started doing the markets. And doing the markets is when we met a lot of people, like met a lot of different artists. And that kind of gave us the confidence to just speak to more people. And then interviewing specifically fell into that November of last year. Pancakes and Booze is an art show that goes around the country. And Marie applied to be a part of it that November, but she didn't get in. Unfortunately, I think we missed the deadline or whatever it was. It just didn't happen. And instead of just like passing on the event as like a failure and moving on, we bought this camera here, the Sony that we have on you. And we were just like, oh, maybe we can just go and like maybe make like a vlog type video, or just bring the camera, get used to it, learn how to use it. And we're walking around with this camera and people start stopping us. And they're like, oh, who are you with? And we're like, we're with ourselves. Like, what do you mean? Like, are you media? Are you doing interviews? And we're like, yeah, sure. So I just took the iPhone out, put the voice recorder on. We didn't even have a mic. It was just that camera, my voice recorder, and some editing software, put it all together. And just like, we interviewed maybe like 15 people that night. Was it that much, Marie? Yeah, it was about like 15 people. We made 4 videos. Yeah.
What was the turnaround time like after those 15 people?
We only made 4 videos out of those 15 people. We still have a backlog of that I want to get to eventually. And that's kind of part of my process now. So I'm learning a lot of this stuff as we go along. And I've been doing it actively on specifically Adobe Premiere, probably starting in the beginning of this year. Before that, I was using like CapCut or like, what's the one on MacBooks? Is it Movie Maker?
iMovie.
iMovie.
Oh yeah, don't sleep on iMovie, man.
No, you can. But, so that's where I started, and like I'm learning like kind of in real time. So like what I've been doing now has been trying to go through like some of the older stuff that we have, because we have a couple hard drives worth of stuff now, and just like going through the older interviews and now using the skill sets and like the tools that I have now, making them way better videos. So for example, like we just dropped a video on our friend Nick Donato, DJ Knickknacks. We recorded a performance of his back in April. We used a lot of footage from that. And we recorded the interview with him, I think it was in June. the dates on the video. We'll say June. And like, I watched it a few times. I try to cut it down a few times. And, you know, life happens. And then you get involved in other projects. And when you get involved in other projects, like, I get it, like, you get involved in other projects, other things take your interest. But what I like to do is like take whatever I learned on those projects and bring it back to stuff that I did before. So with Nick specifically, like, we wanted to do like a documentary style, like, interview video.
Would you say your ideal approach would be to let's say there's episodes, like each episode is specifically about one person, and you dive deeply into what they do, maybe like follow them for a couple months to whatever they're doing, put it all together and just have like a big piece on who that person is to kind of like explain to the world who they are?
It's actually funny you say that. Marie and I, are you familiar with Trifecta Music Empire? We've been working closely with them for the past couple of months, kind of doing exactly that. So we've been following them on shows. We've actually invited one of their artists here. Like, here we made a video through their page, TME Takeover, where we interview them. We follow them on shows where we kind of capture their performances. And we've been making these like sort of doc style interview / performance videos. We've been incorporating like in-house advertisements for them. So yeah, that's been our approach. And I think like the biggest key to all of that is time. Like, so like with Nick specifically, like we used the footage back in April. We had a conversation and it worked wonderfully, because there's a point in the conversation where we were like, what's the biggest stage you've ever been on? What's the most amount of people you've ever been in front of? And he was just like, it's 1,200, and it was at U-Dance. And then like, just like,
we have that
I was
footage.
just like, yeah, I was just like, wait, that was the one that we were at. And I was able to take like just me like, whoa, having that realization like in that interview and using that to transition into like performance footage, which I thought was really cool. And like I said, time, like you can't get all that in just one sit down. And that's kind of what we've been applying to TME. That's what we've applied to Nick. And we have interviews with like friends that we've done in the past. It's just kind of compiling that, like, we have organized hard drives with people's names and all the projects and dates. And like, I'd like to be able to go back, but whether it's with a specific artist or a specific theme, like I want to be able to like, just take everything that I have and just like follow their growth. And like, I really like that documentary style, like approach to the content.
I think it's really smart. I think it's really necessary too. It's something that is needed not only for the state of Delaware, but it's also needed overall, so that artists, not even just artists, but creatives that have taken that step to brand themselves can really push their brand out the way that they need to.
Yeah, I feel like Delaware has kind of become, New York is always home to me. Philly's my second home, and I'd say Delaware is my third. Like I said, we fell into just going into Delaware through the Delaware Music Network. And just from that event, like monthly events where we meet different artists, and we just kind of really got involved down there.
I'm curious about, like, Jay said, like, we look at our previous jobs and see the mistakes or like improvements, what's changed from this time, from that time to this time. Do you have this kind of thing with your music? So you just listen to your previous tracks and just like, oh, that's like a little bit for like looking on top of you younger and like more.
All the time. There's songs that I've put out that I keep out because I want people to hear that growth and that progression in my music. But when I hear the songs, I don't want to hear them. I don't want to hear those songs. I hear everything that I've learned to be better at in those songs. And I'm like, this song could be so much better if I did A, B, and C. But I don't want everybody to feel as though I'm perfect, because that giving that false sense of perfection will deter somebody from pursuing their dream too. Like if somebody sees that I started here and I kept it there and I progressed, they're more likely to do the same. And then they can become great at they can become great at what they want to be great at too.
Do you have a hard time watching your own like old stuff? Like, do you ever like just watch or listen to like something you did when you first started or like a couple of years ago? Like, do you have a hard time doing that?
It's not like, it's yes and no. Like when I do it, I know I'm intentionally doing it. So it's like I have files of the first freestyle I ever recorded, and I might listen to it tonight now that you reminded me about it. But it was Click. There was a song called Click with I think it was Kanye, Big Sean, Jay-Z might have been on it. My first freestyle was to that. Yeah, my first like going to an actual studio and then recording. So like my voice is very young, the flow is not as tight, the delivery is not as strong, the mixing's not all the way there. But I took that first step. And for me, the first step is the most important step for me in everything that I do. For me personally, if I start it, I'm going to finish. And the hardest part with anything is to just start. So if I can't show people that start, then where's that motivation for them to start?
What about for you? Like, do you ever just look at it and like, oh,
a little bit?
Not that
like,
specific one, but
part of me does like, because I think about my first performance a lot, and then like when I think about that, it's like, but I mean, like you're talking to somebody who recorded a low quality mixtape in high school and was able to sell it. Given the money I made was stolen the same day, but I was able to sell trash. Well, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I was able to sell something that was low quality, which was the first sign of my ability to hustle for myself and make something happen.
Well, if you were able to sell it, it can't be that low of quality. Well, maybe sonically and like the equipment you had, sure.
I was recording with a gamer headset.
That's crazy.
I was recording with a gamer headset. It wasn't the best of quality, but it was better than anybody else that probably would have been in my position.
So when you said like, did you like plug it into a computer and then do it?
I was using Mixcraft. I took the beat from YouTube because it was all like mainstream songs that I used. And I just had the headset on. I was like this, record, no interface, no nothing, straight to the computer. And I burnt it on a CD and I sold the CDs. Sold it to the teachers, sold it to the students. And then after practice, boom, all the money gone.
Sorry.
Nah, but I kept going though. That's the thing. You kind of gotta eat them. You gotta take them hits to the chin. And you gotta keep going because the grass is greener on the other side.
Do you ever think about like the moment when you just like, I probably need to give up? Or you always have like this positive mood that whatever happens, I still gonna go through that?
Nah, like the reason I am this positive is because I understand how dark it can get. So like I understand how low it can be, and I just actively choose not to accept that. So like I've had internal conflicts. I've had moments where I've broken down, I've cried. And like those are the moments where it's like it's really hard, where it's like it's one of the hardest things to do in life is to walk on a path that you can't see. And that's what creativity is. That's what faith is. So to move in that direction is you get to those points where, yeah, I could go apply for jobs, but what's going to fulfill me more than this? Even though this can't sustain me right now. So it's like, it's a constant give and take. It's a constant balance that never ends. It never stops. And you just kind of have to deal with it in a sense to a point where it's like, this is just what I choose. This is how I choose to move. I know my intentions or like I have good intentions with what I'm doing. I'm going to continue to move with those good intentions. But while I'm moving with those intentions, I know this feeling is going to come back, and I'm going to have that internal fight again until I get to where I need to get to.
So that helps you to not give up. So you see the goal in the end. So just like that's what I want. Like you just imagine it like it's like already like there.
Yeah, it's like
just go there.
it's there. I just don't know how far. It's like being in a dark room and you're walking to the other wall. You're in a room. You don't know how big the room is. Maybe it's a large room. Maybe it's a small room. You're walking in the dark. You know, eventually you'll touch the wall, but you don't know when. Some people's rooms are smaller than others. Some people have bigger rooms than others because maybe one person's room has more opportunities, but everybody's room is pitch black. Some people run into this, some people run into that. We all start in the same place, but we all hit different things at different times.
Yeah, why I ask about that, because I understand how it sometimes can be like, sometimes when everything good, you great and everything is great, but sometimes you feel like a tiny thing that like maybe I'm not that good, and everything like and this not that and this not that, and it feels like everything start to fall off and everything is not that stable like you want for it to be. Right. And I think it's really important to just see the goal and just go, and it doesn't matter how path look like or how long this way. If you see the goal and you sure it's there and it's yours, that's kind of like I see how you seen it. So you just talking about that. You have like you need to have a job, but at the same time you need to stay on this path.
Right. And like it's like I completely understand, and I know it's like it's a lot of people that can definitely relate to that. It's a lot of people that can relate to it. So it's just about doing what's true to you, doing what makes you feel satisfied with waking up and going to sleep at the end of the day, each day. Like, what did you do with your 24 hours that makes you feel like, okay, I did a good job today?
So you're like a writer, no day without writing a word, or how they call it, like no day without writing the page or writing the word.
So I think I do write every day actually, without even thinking about it. I know typically I usually start my days off with some word. I definitely open up the Bible and get some word in at the beginning of my days, and then I'm usually working on something. If it's not production, it's writing. If it's not writing, I have to make calls throughout the day. So at this point, there's a lot more structure and there's a lot more guidance in the direction that I'm going. Like I see the path now compared to before where I'm literally walking on thin air. I don't know how I'm staying up, but I'm walking on thin air and I'm just taking that next step, hoping that I don't fall. And that's just all it is.
It's all about modeling. I see you defilate on a like with a like how it's called the stylish stuff. Who's the designer? Where it was? How it was? Tell us about that.
So I got to experience my first New York Fashion Week. I was at Essence Fashion House and I was styled by Tai Chun. He is a New York designer. I was also able to walk in his fashion show as well the very next day. He had styled an African suit for me, and he has stated to me that the inspiration was from Nigeria. And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense to me, because when you think of Essence and when you think of Essence Fashion House, it's very heavy on Black empowerment. It's very heavy on Black entrepreneurship. And I feel like the roots of the Black community definitely need to be strengthened, and they need to be just protected overall. For me personally, my wife is Liberian. And for me, being an African American, I can kind of see the occasional bumping of heads between the two communities. And for me, wearing that was a way of me speaking more so on my willingness to bridge that gap, because together we're very strong, but divided we're easy to pick off. We're very weak. We don't have much say. And there's been so many different situations that prove when we come together, we can do beautiful things. So if I can be one of those people that can be a physical representation of that, I'll do that. And like, the fit was nice. The fit was nice. Walking around, people giving me compliments. I had one guy come up to me and he asked me where I was from. I told him I'm from the States. And then he explained to me that he was, I believe he said he was Nigerian, I think it was Nigerian. Then I explained to him that my wife is Liberian, and he was like, okay, so you understand the movement? And I'm like, yeah, understand the movement. So he shook my hand, and then we kept it pushing. So like stuff like that, like just being able to put myself in a position to spread that type of energy in as many areas as possible, whether it be fashion, whether it be music, or just my regular life. And I was able to do that at during New York Fashion Week. So I definitely shout out Ty Chun for that. Damn, a lot's been happening. I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
How do you manage it all?
I have a planner that I haven't looked in as much as I should, but I have one. My team, I'm nothing without my team. So we definitely pick up the slack where we need to, like where one person has to take a step back. I know we can always take that step forward just to keep things moving forward. I lean on my faith and just having understandable people in my corner, whether it be family, whether it be my wife, whether it be friends, or even the people that support me, because the people that support me in the music and everything that I do means a lot too. Just having those types of conversations and understanding how much of an impact I have on different people definitely keeps me going. It keeps me locked in on what I'm doing. I do get tired. I try to rest. There's times where I have to step back and refocus, recenter myself. But at the end of the day, I ask myself, why do I do this? What do I do this for? What is my goal? And then that reminds me of my intentions. And that's what keeps me going. That's what gives me the initiative to stay as organized as possible and handle things that I need to handle. If you were to build your perfect utopia, I love questions like this. If you were to build your perfect utopia world, what would be like your foundation? What would be your rules in your perfect world? You can't ask me the same question back. That's the rule.
No. I'm trying to think of this and like my initial response is like I can't even really wrap my head around that, but I don't want to use that as like a cop-out answer. The thing is like I don't know, because like first off, I will get rid of Macklemore's entire discography.
There you go. That's the clickbait right there. We good. You can wrap it up.
Perfect utopia. I mean, dude, that's so hard. It's so hard to just, and I don't know how politicians even try to do it, but like wrap your head around getting a giant group of people under one concept, one law, one government, whether that's like on a state, local, or federal level. I think it's such a crazy concept to get a big group of people to agree on a single thing. Now, like, I'm saying on a larger scale, like city, town, like tribes and stuff are easier to kind of like small groups like that. But once you start incorporating small groups and larger groups, that's a really hard thing to wrap your mind around, because you have to think about every single angle. And that's kind of like how I approach it in general. So like what might be good for one might not be good for all.
You can't make everybody happy.
That's the thing. And because of that, like for me, it's hard to wrap my mind around that. I could think of like what I want to do on like a smaller scale. Can I dial it back a little bit?
Yeah.
So like, for instance, like with what Marie and I are doing, Good Soup. Like on the surface, like what we're doing now is video production. But eventually what I'd like, and I don't know what the specific goal is, but I know what the purpose is. I want to be able to influence culture. I want to be able to prop up the right people. Like I don't necessarily want it all to be the same run through the filter of Jay and Marie, but I want us to be like a conduit for like really talented people, really talented screenwriters, really talented just anybody, and just kind of have them under the banner and just allow them. And maybe that's my utopia, like just allowing people to express their creativity. And like, I don't want to sell it like we're open to everybody. You have to be good. That's what I want Good Soup to be. You have to be good to be part of Good Soup.
There's a quality requirement for entry.
But there's no specific content requirements. Like, we don't need you to be a mouthpiece for our political views. We don't need you to be a particular genre. I mentioned to you earlier, like, I like documentaries and I like nonfiction. And Marie, she wants to do more music videos and film. So, like, we have a similar interest of just like producing things, but even just within ourselves, we have like different visions of like where we want to take it. And I want to be like the place that happens.
So basically, like, do whatever you want to do, just be good at it.
And it has to be good enough to dictate and influence culture.
I respect that.
Like, I don't want to just be interviews.
Good Soup is for the culture.
I'd like to very much think so.
Yeah, like,
I want us to be. I mean, even just Marie and us, like Marie and myself, we're an international team. Like,
put my pinky out for that one.
Thank you. And just like our different perspectives kind of really, really shape this into what it is now and what it's becoming. So that's, to answer your question, like, I cannot fix the world. So what about you? How would you build your perfect game? You told me I can't even ask you that.
Yeah, but look, that's one of my rules. When you play the question game, you can't ask the same question back. You gotta ask me a better question.
Okay, so I mean, I could just, it's technically a different question, but it's the question I kind of answered. Like, where do you see Red Spade music? Where do you see it going? What do you see it being? Like, is it just music production? Like,
so I see Red Spade music becoming an umbrella, and I truly, truly mean this when I say this. I see it becoming a safe haven for creatives, because I see how backstabbing, I see how manipulative and how just backwards a lot of things can be in the realm of creativity. So to be able to, if anything, guide and direct upcoming creatives and established creatives in the right direction safely, that's definitely something that I want to do personally with my brand. With Red Spade music in general, like, we definitely want to get more into films. We want to get more into video games, commercials. Like, we want to touch everything, because we can touch everything. We have the minds for it. We have the collective minds for it. I definitely, I want it to be able, I want the brand to be able to see the world, and I want the world to be able to see the brand. But I want to do it in a way where I can influence in a positive manner. I can change in a positive manner. And sometimes that takes power, but I like Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. So I've always thought about those types of things. And I want to be one of those people that can, like, make a decision. Like, I'm big on control. I'm big on control when it comes to creative control and decision making. So I just like to have my hands in as many things as possible, just to have the knowledge. Like, I don't have to be in control of it, but if I have the knowledge of it, if I have to step over there, I can. That doesn't necessarily mean I want to, but I want to be able to move in any room that you put me in. And like, that's kind of like where I see it going.
I like how you touched on, I'm just paraphrasing here, like the wrong things that you see happen in like your industry. And you, at least compared to me, like you've been in the industry way longer than I have, or just any type of entertainment or any type of production. And like, that's a good point that you bring up, like the wrong stuff that you see and how you want to like try to like either correct it or steer away from that. And like with Marie and I, like we work with different people and like we're people ourselves. Like we do a post-mortem, like what happened here? That was messed up. Why did that go that way? Right. And it's really easy to like, me personally, I find it like really easy to pick the things that were wrong. Mm-hmm. But what I try to do, like even within the conversation, like, okay, we said all this. Now I have to remember this for myself. Because like, let's say someone you're working for, like on a project and you don't agree on like how they handle things, like real easy to complain about it. But it's just like, okay, well, I need to now make sure that when I put myself in that position, I just said I want to be able to dictate culture and influence culture. Yeah. I can't do it being a dick, you know? I can't, like, I have to learn how to like let go of my ego, which it's a process.
Have you noticed that pursuing your goals and your creative aspirations makes you a better person in general? Because of how you have to step out of your comfort zones to make yourself better, in a sense?
I think for me personally, it's like, yeah, stepping out of your comfort zone, like speaking with people. Like on my day-to-day, I keep going back to I'm a cable guy. I'm not super passionate about telecom anymore. And like, I would always worry about like it becoming like, because I spend all day talking to people and now I'm trying to get into interviewing, and I would always think like, oh, I don't want to like get tired of talking to people because now I'm talking to twice as many people. But what I found is like, it makes, I don't want to say dealing with customers as it's a negative thing, but like me dealing with the feelings of like having conversations with people I don't know. And I'll even try to like take the things I learned from interviewing, like shutting up and listening. And it makes the day go by a little bit easier. And that's because of like what we do on the outside. Like I talk to people who do more important things. We've spoken to people who've done more important things than, you know, like we've spoken to people who have been in like crazier positions. Like it's not hard to talk to a normal person that's just right there. Like you're in their home, like they're probably nervous you're in there. So, you know, it's made that easier. And I think like in my professional life, I was getting like real sick and tired of it, like talking with people. And I found like in more recent months, it's become a lot easier because of what we're doing here. So I hope that like answered your question.
It does. Cause like, I feel like we all have certain things that get highlighted once we start the journey. And then it's up to us to overcome that so that we can keep moving forward. Because like, I think for me, my biggest thing was like, I don't know if I come across as it, but I can be a smartass sometimes. And I can be like, I can say things out of temperament that could offend people. So, and sometimes it's innocent. Sometimes it's like a snap. Like that's my initial reaction. When it's out of innocence, it's just me like seeking knowledge, and I ask a lot of questions. Maybe I ask the questions at the wrong time. So me navigating professionally how to ask questions at the right time, how to maintain my temperament and have that calm foundation and like literally approach everything from the heart. It helps me in my regular life with the people that are close to me, so I don't hurt their feelings. So I can, instead of like raising my voice, I can just, it's you and me versus the problem instead of me versus you type of situation. Right.
So, I mean, as we close things up, like what's next?
More music content will be coming very soon. We are currently working on an EP, a voiceless EP, to go with the single. A new single will be coming soon as well. But we definitely want to carry that momentum from this whole common situation into the next months to come, into the following year. Well, should I say following year? Into next year, basically, into next year. We're working with a lot of people. We're working with a lot of people. We're keeping our heads down and just doing as much as we can so that when everything starts to come in, it's just like, just hits us and we're just good to go. But it's a lot of music coming, a lot of music being worked on, and a lot of good things in the near future.
Nice.
What about you, man?
Honestly, just kind of continuing with this good soup, thing, like whether it's just trying to push our services or like working on like more shows like this. Like we explained to you, this is like an experimental like thing that we want to like be able to transition into like, a show where we can not only like get to learn more about people, but like we kind of want to be able to be a platform for people and get access to people and like meet interesting people. That's as far as like the interview front. We want to do like more like we want to do more than what we're currently doing with just like the event coverage, the live performance, and like that's all great. And we want to be able to learn like different aspects of what it is to make like a video, a production. So we want to move more into like music videos. We want to move more into like writing short films, scripting them out, like location scouting, like being like a real production like company. And just taking everything we do, like taking every lesson that we come across, like every lesson that we can learn, take everything with a grain of salt, roll with the punches, figure out how to roll with the punches. Like with me and Marie, like we've been together for a couple of years now, and like even now we're still learning like how to work with each other, like what our different habits are, like, and how those change over the years. And it's just like a continuous process for us. It's just constant learning. And it feels like Marie actually asked me this the other day, like, do you find that it's getting easier doing what we're doing? And I said, no, not because like it's getting harder. I think like the more you get into a field, like the more you realize, oh, I'm doing things the wrong way here. I could be doing things this way. I could take things to the next level doing this. I don't think it ever gets easier. I think you just like open your eyes more and you get better at problem solving. Yeah. So I think the objective is to get better at problem solving. And whether that's a problem like how to figure out how to do a production or like how to like actually make money, like real money off of this stuff so that we can do more of the things that we want to do and like grow this thing into something that can influence people, influence culture, like help communities, make great movies. Right. Like I want to be able to do it all. Like I know that me, myself as an individual, I probably can't do it all. And like Marie herself as an individual can't do it all. But if we put our brains and resources together, like we can attract the right kind of people to want to work with us. And just grow from there. Like I just constant learning and yeah, trying to make money off of this, man. We're trying to make like real stuff here. We're not just the community, videographers. We're not hobbyists anymore. Maria and I are the real deal. Yeah, I mean, what did you think about the experience? I mean, you sat behind the camera and you kind of managed things from that end.
From my side, in this particular video, I was more directing. I must tell you that it's really interesting to build the set. And of course, you see some imperfections, but at the same time, there's always space to grow and make it better and better as possible. About the dialogue between Jay and Red Spade, I think it's really good we pick specifically Red Spade because he's like deep person. He's believer. He is. He have a good understanding of what he do and why. I think so. And I think he can be really helpful to people who work on their craft and try to become, if not the best, but really good in their work. So I think the Red Spade, it was really good decision to work with him in the first episode. I don't try to say we're going to work with the worst people in the world in the next episode, but...
We're definitely not.
Yeah, no. I know most of interviews, it's listening that you tell me, and I think it's a great thing that a lot of interviewers, good interviewers do. They more listen and try to be really involved in what's person say and give the really clever questions to open person more or get some information. And this, I think, the goal of a interviewer work. And how do you do that? What do you think you do good, and what do you think you need to work on?
Like, the interviewing process has been, like, learning how to do it in general has been fun. And like, one of the biggest things that I found, like, because I find myself like really enjoying interviews, documentaries, things like that. And the biggest thing is like usually not so much the visuals, but more of like what the story the person's telling. And like, you can't get a good interview with a good story if you as the interviewer are like constantly throwing questions or like your opinion or like your story so much. And that's more for like an interview format, and that's what we got kind of really comfortable doing or getting better at doing. Just a standard interview, talking head, just single person, and then whatever dialogue that we have or whatever coaching that we do, like we just cut that out. And that's really great to focus on them and their story. And for us, like, I wanted to just kind of challenge us a little bit and throw ourselves in front of the camera. And it's still applying those, and this is how I tried to approach it, and I hope that came across. But just kind of shutting up and listening. And then you throw the added challenge of like, well, now you're in front of the camera. So, you know, the same thing that I like tell people during an interview process, like if you stumble on your words, take a hard pause, and then you start over. And like, I had to do that quite a few times, and just kind of like, I think that's like a big challenge for people to even accept. I constantly find us coaching people to do that, which, you know, you have to remind them, like, to keep them comfortable. And like, it's easier said than done, that I found. And just kind of started listening to, it's not really my own advice, it's not ours, it's not like, none of this is like original. It's just, we're just trying to make our own version of it. And yeah, it was just an interesting challenge to be interesting while being attentive, and then also trying to contribute something to the conversation, you know, as opposed to like taking over with my own story. Yeah, so we hope that like as we do more of this and like do more sit downs with guests and friends and like more sit downs between the two of us, that you just kind of learn more about us and what we're about too. And yeah, we also have a business, Gitsu Productions. We do all types of event coverage. We do live performance coverage. We're getting into music videos. We're getting into doc-style interviews. You can check out the rest of the YouTube page. You can check out our TikTok, our Instagram Reels. So in conclusion, thanks for checking this out. And we hope to bring you more even sooner.
Yeah, if you're interested in something like that, let us know. Subscribe and wait for new episodes.
And we will leave you with a word from a proud supporter.
Hey, please don't fix your lips for nonsense, I ain't quitting. It's a better chance to hear me say I hit the lottery. Why they getting red in the face, teeth gritting? Every time they open up they eyes, see a lot of me. This ain't no mistake. Every move I make, calculated, cause it gotta be. Ain't up for debate. Feeling like it's fate. If I'm going